Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the transit Venus in Sagittarius. Well, first thing I'll look at, what I find interesting with this transit is that when you look at this, of course, when Venus enters Sagittarius, it's making its transition from Venus in Scorpio into Sagittarius. And when this happens, well, what's interesting is you look at the Venus in Scorpio. And when Venus was in Scorpio, it was really about more, you might have found more lovers about being controlling, maybe a little domineering, maybe a little bit overly possessive and jealous and really fixated on a romantic partner. But when you have Venus in Sagittarius, what happens is you actually don't want somebody to be controlling you. I mean, many people don't want any boyfriend or girlfriend or what have you that's domineering regardless of the transit of Venus, but it's even more emphasized, I believe, during this period, just similar to Venus in Aquarius, because this is a time where you don't want to be held back, and you really, you might, like, for example, it might be something where somebody, if you have a significant other, romantic partner, what have you, and he or she says, well, I need you home right at this time, and you might really just want to be, go outside or something, or go to, whether it's going maybe to a park or something, doing something outdoorsy. You just don't really, when this time, you just don't want that person necessarily saying you got to be here, got to be this, do this at a certain time, because there's more of a love of freedom during this time, and you don't want to always be prohibited from doing what you want to do when you want to do it. You don't want to be tied down necessarily to that regimented type of kind of thing or schedule, because Sagittarius, when it transits Venus, is more of a love of freedom and independence and doing things when you want to do it. You don't want people driving you during this time. It's also a period too when your romantic partner or lover, what have you, significant other, may be more expansive in matters of the heart. You may be as well, more exuberance in this department. It's more about being, you could be very direct and outspoken and blunt during this time with a romantic partner. And where Scorpio's energy may have been a little bit more subtle, Sagittarius is almost the antithesis as far as this goes. This could be energy that could be very blunt and direct. And really, it's just careful not to be overly blunt, because you don't want it to be to a point where you might demoralize someone or hurt their feelings in the process. But anyway, what's interesting too about this transit is that Sagittarius is considered the lucky sign, being ruled by Jupiter. And what I notice, what I think about this is that it could be a little more fortuitous for matters of the heart with love and romance if you're unattached and don't have that significant other, romantic partner, because what it is Sagittarius energy is about going outside the box, expanding the horizons, so to speak. And I think that it can apply to love in this case, being that Venus would be in Sagittarius. So and what happens is, I think people that may have been, if you're unattached, say people that may have been oblivious to you before, in terms of seeing you as a potential romantic partner, may not be as much now, and they're more flexible going outside the box. So that, I think, is what's connected with this lucky thing with Sagittarius. So another thing is, Venus is about values as well, and during this transit you may put more value in veracity, honesty, philosophy, abstract thinking, going outside the box, even things connected with religion, perhaps this could be. And also, Venus is about what we really enjoy and what we may love to do. And during this time, people might have expressed more enjoyment in sports during this time, adventure, going on explorations, taking trips. It could be even in more enjoyment in their own religion or congregation if you or whoever if you belong to one. That could apply. And really, another thing too is what I think is interesting about this, that okay, Venus also governs money. So during this time when Venus transits Sagittarius, as far as the spending goes, people might be a little bit more overly exuberant as far as money goes. And what I'm saying is you might have a lot more reckless and impulsive spending during this time, because Sagittarius is, unlike, like, say, Capricorn, a more prudent and cautious sign. Sagittarius may spend on impulse. And during this time, Venus will transit Sagittarius until November 12th, 2016. And during this time, you might see, a lot more holiday spending during this period, because Thanksgiving and Christmas comes up shortly after this, and relatively speaking, and you might see a lot more extravagant spending during this period. Also, another thing, when Venus transits Sagittarius, it's a period too where you really, as far as your relationships go, you certainly may have a strong aversion to being around pessimistic people, or people that are despondent or melancholy, or put a damper on things, because this is a time where you enjoy things that will make you feel more optimistic, more upbeat, more jocular. You could express more enjoyment in jokes, practical jokes such as like a hand buzzer, whoopee cushion, that kind of thing. Just general fun. And it might be a time where you might even enjoy seeing a comedy movie, going to some comedy club or show, more so than usual, given that the happy-go-lucky sign that Sagittarius is. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the transit Venus in Sagittarius. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be talking about the transit Venus in Capricorn. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.